So GATE point of view, it is a good weightage, 8 to 10 marks. ESE point of view, 10 to 12 objectives. 10 to 12 objectives is okay sort of weightage. But GATE point of view, 8 to 10 marks out of 100 is a very good weightage. Especially the people who are preparing for the GATE exam, don't neglect this subject. This is the prime important subject apart from the other non-structural subjects like GT and environmental. Apart from GT environmental, this is having highest weightage compared to the syllabus of GT and environmental. The syllabus is less but weightage is high. Especially if you want to join MTech structures, you need to concentrate on non-structural subjects, especially in GATE exam point of view. But ESE exam is not like that. In ESE exam, you need to concentrate compulsorily on structural oriented subjects. So ESE prelims point of view, 10 to 12 objectives. Out of this 10 to 12 objectives, there may be a chance of 2 or 3 numerical questions. All remaining things will be with the theory only. So you need to concentrate on theory, and that numericals you can solve maximum by the hand calculations, and sometimes maybe one objective may be a bouncer which you can't solve it in the exam. You need to come out of the exam and then solve it and cross check. But ESE point of view also you have negative marking, 1/3 of negative marking, be careful about it. In GATE exam, only in multiple choice questions you have the negative marking. In other cases, there is no negative marking at all. So coming to the GATE, the type of questions, graduate aptitude test for engineers. GATE full form is graduate aptitude test. It is an aptitude test. As it is an aptitude test, they'll try to test your aptitude. So there are, you can see 2 type of questions. Multiple choice questions, or we call it as MCQ, you have negative marking. If you make it wrong, 1/3 will be negative. And in case of multiple select questions, you have in multiple select questions 4 options. Out of the 4 options, you may have more than 1 correct answers. So something similar to IIT JEE exam. So multiple select questions are there. More than 1 correct answers may be there. This is most crucial. And how many such questions will come, it all depends upon the question setter. It is a random manner. Sometimes you may see 1 or 2 MSQs, and sometimes there is no chance of MSQs in one set. But for multiple select questions, no negative marking. And numerical answer type questions, you have the fill up the blank, you have a numerical, and you have the fill up the blank. In that fill up the blank, you need to give the feed of the numerical along with the units what they are asking you. So first you need to identify the units in which what they are asking you. You need to feed that numerical answer. Even for numerical answer question, there is no negative marking. So you have only negative marking for multiple choice questions. And coming to the ESE exam, in ESE prelims exam, we have these type of questions coming into the picture. Single statement question, a single statement with multiple choice. In ESE prelims, all are multiple choice questions only, you have negative marking in that. Next, match the following type of questions will be there. In match the following type of questions, if you could able to match 1 or 2 options, you can pick up the answer. So no need to worry much about the match the following type of questions. With just 1 or 2 matches you can pick up. So you have to see that which is the best option by process of elimination. Questions with statements, they'll give you 2-3 statements. Out of the 2-3 statements, sometimes they'll ask you which are the correct statements, which are the false statements. Read the questions carefully. What they are asking you, you need to identify in the question. You need to identify which are the correct options, and if it is asked as which of the statements are correct, you need to check up only the correct options and pick up the answer. And sometimes they are asking you which are false statements. In that case, be careful. So read the question carefully. In competitive exams, you need to read the questions carefully and see the units and then pick up the answer correctly. Numerical questions. In case of numerical questions, there will be lot of time taking. So in the time taking cases, we should not waste time. So we need to answer the sequence wise. Lastly, numerical answer questions. Last before is assertion and reasoning type of questions. Then questions with statements, you can solve it. Match the following and then single statement questions. This is a priority. Easiest, slightly easier, and toughness is increasing. So last round you try to solve numerical answer questions, and before that assertion and reasoning is better. Assertion and reasoning will be given in one group, so you can solve them at a stretch. There will be in sequence in offline paper. ESE prelims is offline paper, GATE exam is an online paper. Coming to the type of questions what generally you come across in GATE or ESE, memory recall. Memory recall means maybe fundamentals. Fundamentals we can recollect easily, that is not a big task. The main important thing is formulae, and then specifications. You need to mug up the formulae and specifications, especially empirical formulae will torture you a lot in the exam hall, because they are unit specific. Each and every parameter you need to substitute in a particular unit only in empirical formulae. Be careful about that empirical formulae. So the first category is memory recollect, where you need to recollect formulae and specifications. So what do you need to do is, in each and every subject, all the formulae and specifications you need to write separately. So no need of theory, no need of definitions, no need of all the other things, only just formulae and specifications you write it separately. So entire transportation should come in maximum 8 to 10 pages. Is not a a cutoff. You can manage as per your requirement, but maximum pages required for transportation entirely is 8 to 10. So that too, a short page booklet you take it, classmate notebook you take it, and write all the formula and specifications of each and every subject separately. And then before you go for the exam, and occasionally you need to revise them, revise the formula and all, you need to write it on rough papers. Say for example, in a particular chapter, whatever might be the formula available, without looking at your precise notebook, you write once or twice in rough pages, and then you compare where you make the mistakes. Especially the problem will be where plus is there, where minus is there. In empirical formula, as I told you, the units may be a big problem. Next is comprehensive, ability to understand. They'll give you logical based statements. There you need to understand the statements, and by process of elimination you need to pick up the right answer. So ability to understand, you require logic, you require analysis, you require little time. Next is application type. Application type means, say a particular formula is there, they try to give you a numerical based upon the practical application levels. Day-to-day works will be there. Say for example in transportation, they'll take the regular routine transportation problem and give the data as per the practical analysis. So application type and then analysis type. Analysis type means they'll give you a sort of derivative like questions. You may not answer them directly, you need to analyze, you need to apply your logic, and then after analysis you need to pick up the answer. So analysis type of questions are very common in GATE exam, not in ESE prelims exam. Synthesis, combination of different topics. Nowadays it is fancy to combine different topics together. Need not be with one subject, they are mixing with the 2-3 topics. Say for example hydrology formula, they'll take and mix with GT, or otherwise they'll take transportation formula, mix with mathematics, mix with the probability. So like that you might have seen the Poisson's distribution, negative Poisson's distribution questions in transportation of GATE exam. Those are all actually mathematics questions, but with the transportation data, with the application type of data, they'll create the question. Actually speaking, you need to answer those questions with the mathematical skills. So these are the 5 type of questions you generally see in competitive exams. Analysis type and synthesis type are common in GATE exam. The first 3 will be very common in case of ESE prelims exam. So coming to the highway, first of all, the important topics we'll just brush through. The historical development, road plans and surveys only for ESE prelims. These are not there in GATE point of view, only ESE prelims. Historical development, the Nagpur plan, Mumbai plan, Lucknow plan, all these plans will be there now. And surveys, previously surveys were there in GATE syllabus, recently they have removed. So these things are not there in GATE exam point of view, but ESE prelims exam point of view, these are required. There may be chance of one objective question from this area. Now coming to the geometric design, in the geometric design very important is stopping side distance. There is a chance of application level of question in SSD for GATE exam also, GATE exam only. And ESE point of view, you get very straightforward direct questions from the stopping side distance, and the numericals whatever you get in ESE prelims will be difficult to solve it, because the simplifications require time. So if a particular question is taking more than required time, leave it in the exam hall. You should not feel sentimental to leave a question in the exam hall, especially in the ESE. ESE prelims exam is a time-bound exam, time-oriented exam. You need to finish all the questions within stipulated time. But in GATE exam, time is not a big matter, because for 1 mark question, there will be 1.8 minutes of time available. For 2 marks question, there will be 3.6 minutes of time available. Time is not a big issue in GATE exam, but it is a very big issue in case of ESE prelims. So OSD is not so critical in case of GATE or ESE exam, but stopping side distance is very important. Logical based questions may come in stopping side distance. They are creating questions in the stopping side distance, especially for the GATE exam. So for that, you see the previous year questions and solve them once. So sometimes there are memory oriented questions in SSD, very crude memory oriented questions from the remote corners of the code book. Those memory oriented questions, you just don't worry about them. Don't unnecessarily panic by looking at the questions, because once in a while such memory oriented questions will come. If you want to capture that question and wants to answer that question, you need to spend a lot of time by reading the code books and capturing so much of data and memorizing the data may not be that much required, because the probability of getting such a crude memory oriented question in GATE exam, especially in SSD, is very rare. But ESE point of view, all the theory, simple theory, you read it. And OSD is a rare occasion. In OSD, especially they are asking you the OSD calculations, are overtaking time calculations. Sometimes they'll ask you in ESE point of view, what is overtaking zone, minimum length of overtaking zone, desired length of overtaking zone, they're asking you. Next important area is the horizontal curve. Be careful about the horizontal curve. Sometimes they'll ask you to calculate super elevation using the friction. Sometimes they'll ask you to calculate the super elevation based on the equilibrium condition. And next they may ask you to calculate the design super elevation. Read the question carefully, what they're asking you. You need to identify and then proceed accordingly. So here so many cases are there, like super elevation calculation with friction, design super elevation, equilibrium super elevation, and if stopped condition, what is the relation between super elevation and lateral friction. So if super elevation is not provided, we use camber as super elevation. So that cases, all special cases, be careful about the horizontal curves. So ESE point of view, very critical may not come, but if you could able to identify what they are asking you, that's more than enough to answer the question. So be careful about the horizontal curve. There is a high chance of confusion in the answering of the question or picking up the concept, and you need to first understand what they are asking you actually in the question. Setback distance is a rare issue. For ESE point of view, setback empirical formula, only setback m is equal to s square by 8r is more than enough, where L more than S, case is more than enough, because they won't ask you much, they can't ask you much. But GATE exam point of view, setback distance is a good area where you need to use the trigonometry of the curves. And sometimes they'll ask you directly setback distance, it is the distance from the center of the entire road to the inner side obstruction. Sometimes they'll ask you critically, what is the distance between the center of inner lane to the inner side obstruction. And sometimes they can ask you what is the distance between inner edge of the pavement to the inner side obstruction. Like that they may ask you differently. So you have to read the question and identify what they are asking you and then pick up answer. So setback distance is slightly critical in GATE exam point of view. ESE prelims point of view, only setback m is equal to s square by 8r. That simple formula is more than enough, where L is more than S. Now transition curves, the three cases are there. Transition curve based upon the rate of change of centrifugal acceleration, super elevation and empirical formula, be careful about it. And ideal transition curve, try to remember, it is a spiral. And then coming to the vertical curve, summit curves and valley curve, the derivations nobody will ask you, directly by heart the formulae. The full length formulae are required in case of GATE exam point of view. The simplified questions are, simplified formulae are sometimes useful for the ESE prelims. So you need to by heart a full length formula as well simplified formula. Full length formula means in case of side distances for summit curve, L is equal to GS square by root 2 capital H plus root 2 small h whole square is there na? That simplified version plus full length version, both you by heart. Okay. So geometric design basically a mind game. You need to memorize the formulae, based upon the memory you can get the answers. ESE prelims point of view, geometric design plays very important role. Now coming to the traffic engineering, it is important for GATE exam point of view. ESE prelims point of view, not so important. Only peripheral questions are coming from traffic engineering, but GATE point of view, almost 40% of the weightage comes from the traffic engineering. First you need to talk about macroscopic parameters, the big parameters, the flow, speed and density. These three parameters you need to be careful, and especially in traffic flow you have to be careful about peak hour factor, So many questions are coming from the peak hour factor. Also, the questions are coming from the speed distribution studies. Speed distribution. Speed distribution means that 98 percentile speed, 85 percentile speed, 15 percentile speed. So those things are important. Peak hour factor is very, very important. It is mentioned in the GATE syllabus, so very important. Then speed distribution studies. Next, in speed, you have to be very careful about the space mean speed and time mean speed. To calculate space mean and time mean speed with the given data, very, very important. You need to practice on this area. And next, density. Density is a common directed definition, and the relation between Q, V, K is important for us. Q is equal to KV, and mostly simple questions will come from this area. Be careful about peak hour factor. In speed analysis, Vs and Vt apart from the speed distribution studies. Next is macroscopic parameters, time headway. It is a reciprocal of traffic flow, and space headway, it is a reciprocal of traffic density. The micro, small parameters, you need to be careful about it. There may be chance of 1 mark questions directly from time headway and space headway. Next is capacity under prevailing condition. Capacity under prevailing condition is the traffic should move on the road, the vehicle should move on the road. Under moving condition of the traffic, what is the capacity? So here you have prevailing traffic capacity, you have design capacity, and the other is theoretical capacity. Design capacity is also called as capacity, and theoretical or basic capacity or ideal capacity are different. So under design capacity, the clear distance between the vehicles will be the SSD. Under theoretical capacity, the clear distance between the vehicles will be only lag distance, with reaction time of driver is equal to ideal driver reaction time of 0.7 seconds. Next, green shield model. This green shield is very important. So many times the questions are coming in GATE exam point of view, even in ESE prelims point of view. So if you practice the previous year questions of the green shield model, more than enough for you. There may be chance of questions on this area in a twisted manner also, but you can able to answer if you answer all the previous year questions and practice upon them. And if you just follow the online test series, you find a lot of interesting questions from the green shield model. Very, very important. So in this area, whatever I have given till now, peak hour factor is very important, and then green shield method is very, very important. Next comes to speed and delay studies. Were there previously in GATE exam, now they have removed it. Yes, if you see the previous questions of GATE exam, especially moving observer method to find out speed and delay was very important previously, now it is removed. So you can GATE preparation point of view, that moving observer method to calculate the flow parameters, not so much important now. And if you look at the previous year questions, around 4 to 5 times the questions have been repeated on this area. Next to point of conflicts, only the the number, you just remember the point of conflicts for various cases. They won't ask you any numerical on this. Design of rotary intersection, especially to find out the capacity of rotary. There is a empirical formula. That formula you write. Once there was a question in GATE exam, so chances of repeating such question may be a rare issue, because you need to remember the formula and substitute the data and get it. It is actually memory recollect type of question for GATE point of view. But in ESE prelims point of view, they can ask you what are different type of rotaries, what are parameters which are reflecting the capacity of rotary, like entry width, exit width, weaving length, weaving width, and proportion of weaving to total traffic. Like that they may ask you, theory based questions they may ask you. So if you have good practice on this area, if a new question comes, just by looking at the question, you feel that array it is known to me. It is a familiar question. Such a familiarity comes with practice. So you need to practice a lot on previous year questions and the test series and all. Next is highway lighting. Only for ESE point of view, there may be chance of question on highway lighting, especially the spacing of lighting formula will be there. Once it was a question in previous ESE prelims. Next, parking studies, maybe a chance of theory question may come into the picture. Next, accident studies also a small theory question chances are there. Next comes to very important aspect is signal design. ESE prelims point of view as well gate point of view, you have only Webster's method of signal design for fixed time signals. So in this cycle time calculation, C0 calculation by Webster's formula, and Webster's delay is very, very important for the gate point of view. Either you get a question on the cycle time calculation or Webster's delay calculation, either you use the formula or by the graph you can get the delay time at a particular cycle. So these two are important for the gate exam, and Webster's delay is not so important for the ESE prelims. Webster's formula to calculate the cycle time C0 is important for ESE prelims also. So in the traffic engineering, what I suggest you is concentrate on peak hour factor, concentrate on green shield model, also concentrate on the signal. Webster's method, cycle time calculation, Webster's delay for gate exam point of view. So this is for traffic engineering. Coming to the pavement design, the pavement design is important for ESE prelims, not that important for gate exam point of view. So in case of flexible pavement equivalent single wheel load calculations for dual wheel single axle at a depth of d/2, at a depth of 2s, beyond 2s. So the interpolation technique between d/2 to 2s is important for gate exam point of view, and a theory question may come in ESE prelims point of view. Go through it. Rigidity factor, it is contact pressure by tire pressure, maybe a chance of 1 mark question in gate or one objective in case of ESE. Equivalent single axle load. You have different axle loads. To convert different axle loads into the standard axle load, we use equivalent single axle load method. Is actual axle load by standard axle load power 4 formula. This is important for simple calculation. Maybe a chance of 1 mark in gate or one objective in ESE prelims. Vehicle damage factor is the damaging capacity of a group of axles is important for gate exam point of view. They can give you data and they'll ask you to calculate the vehicle damage factor. ESE point of view, a theory, just peripheral touch is more than enough. And then the cumulative standard calculation is very, very, very important for gate 2 marks questions point of view. How to calculate cumulative standard axles based upon the cumulative traffic at the end of construction. So that formula is there na, that statistical based formula to calculate cumulative standard axles, very important. So if you go through the previous year gate questions on cumulative standard axle calculation and the different types, more than enough. So concentrate on that. Next is the performance or serviceability criteria, rutting and fatigue. Only the theory based on that is important. There will be there are empirical formulae, critical empirical formulae. Even if you just look at the formulae, you get a sort of clockwise and anti-clockwise rotation of eyes. So such a critical formula you forget about for ESE as well, gate point of view. But rutting, what is the reason of rutting? Reason is due to consolidation of especially subgrade soil. So vertical compressive strain on the top of subgrade is responsible for rutting, and fatigue is the micro crack. Micro crack development is because of continuous movement of vehicles, and this is because of the strain, tensile strain on the bottom of the bottom bituminous layer. So such theory is more than enough for fatigue and rutting. Now coming to the rigid pavement design, wheel load stresses, they won't ask you wheel load stresses. I don't think the Westergaard wheel load stresses or modified Westergaard wheel load stresses they'll ask you. Only try to remember corner loading stress formula based upon the modified Westergaard formula. Try to remember, more than enough. Even on that formula, there is a bleak chance, minute chance of getting a question. And coming to warping stresses, the Bradbury empirical formulae also not so important for GATE exam point of view. On this also, very minute chances of getting a question. But frictional stress, you can calculate it by equating frictional force is equal to resisting force. So calculation of frictional stress is important for us. Next is critical combination of stresses. As per IRC, there are 3 critical combinations. Only remember those IRC recommended critical combinations. Critical combination of wheel load stress, warping stress and frictional stress. Next, joints are important. Longitudinal joint we just to provide if the pavement width is more than 4.5 meter. There are transverse joints, we have expansion joints and contraction joints. So in case of joints, spacing of expansion joints and contraction joints are very important. Try to solve numericals on this area. Spacing of expansion joints and contraction joints. Contraction joints are based upon the frictional stress. In RCC, the steel will be resisting that, and in case of plain cement concrete, the concrete cross section will be resisting that. So spacing of expansion joints and contraction joints are important for GATE, maybe a chance of 2 marks question. Dowel bar design, especially the load acting on a critical dowel bar is important for us. Where do you provide the dowel bars, and theoretical questions are important for ESE prelims. Now coming to tie bar design, again important for GATE exam point of view for 2 marks, especially length of tie bar. Length of tie bar calculation based upon the bond, and spacing of tie bar based upon the friction are important for us. So GATE point of view, try to solve the problems on this area. ESE prelims point of view, just theory is more than enough. Numericals they won't ask you. Even they are asking you, we can't solve within the stipulated time. So GATE exam point of view, I don't recommend you to remember the wheel load stress formula, warping stress formula, but remember frictional stress formula, critical combinations as per IRC. The 3 combinations try to remember. Next, spacing of expansion joint, delta by 2 is equal to L alpha delta T, and spacing of contraction joint based upon the friction only. If you know how to calculate the frictional stress, you can calculate the spacing of contraction joints in plain cement concrete pavement and RCC pavement. Dowel bar design, especially the load on critical dowel, the load acting on the critical dowel is important. Once there was a question on this area, a similar question may come with slight modification in the same trend. Tie bar design, length calculation and spacing calculation are important for us. So length calculation is based upon the Bondu, RCC Bondu development length, and spacing is based upon the frictional stress. So these are the areas of interest in pavement design. Coming to the material testing, you require properties of subgrade. Subgrade properties CBR we require, and modulus of subgrade reaction and modulus of elasticity of subgrade you can calculate by plate load test. So go through the CBR test and plate load test of subgrade properties. And coming to the properties of aggregate, you have in this material testing, you need to remember aim of the experiment, apparatus of the experiment, procedures and all nobody will ask you, and then specifications. Specifications as per the codal provisions, IRC provisions. So aim, apparatus and specifications you need to write for prelims as well GATE exam point of view. They won't ask you in detail procedures. Match the following type of questions may come, statements type of questions may come in this area. Properties of aggregate, especially toughness, strength, hardness. So the properties tests of each and every test, AIM apparatus specifications you try to mug up. Properties of bitumen. The bitumen properties like softening point test, ductility test, viscosity test, all the things you just go through. Again, AIM apparatus and specifications of each and every test. Next, Marshall mix design is very, very important for the gate exam point of view. If at all a 2 marks numerical wants to come in gate exam, that will be on the Marshall mix, especially to calculate voids filled by bitumen and percentage voids filled by bitumen and voids in mineral aggregate. Calculation of these things very, very important for us. So if you look at the previous year questions on the calculation of VFB and VMA, you get full clarity on the future question which may come for your exam. So concentrate on this. This is a systematic procedure with systematic formulae. Try to write the formulae and then try to solve the problems and try to get 2 marks on this. And Marshall graphs are important for ESE prelims point of view as well gate exam point of view for 1 mark question. So these are the things we need to remember in case of highway. So coming to the railway engineering, there is a chance of 0 to 2 marks in case of gate exam. ESE prelims point of view, 2 to 3 objectives may also come in ESE prelims, slightly higher weightage. So in both ESE and gate syllabus is same. We have geometric design. In geometric design we have super elevation calculation, cant and cant deficiency, negative super elevation, points and crossings you need to just have an idea, and speed calculations like design speed, average speed, save speed on curves by Martin's formula. Those things you have to concentrate. And points and crossings are not there in case of gate syllabus. In gate syllabus we have only geometric design and geometric features including transition curves. Okay. So gate exam point of view, if you just remember few formulae and the application of those formulae in solving the problems, more than enough for you, even ESE point of view also. So be careful about this. So just a geometric design, if you concentrate, more than enough, because there is a chance of 1 question for gate exam, maybe 0 marks, 1 mark or 2 marks. 2 to 3 objectives will come, especially in ESE prelims. Especially in ESE prelims, modernization of railway track and improvement of railway track and specifications of the Indian Railway services, you need to just glance it. Now coming to airport, it is very simple. Length of runway calculation, the 3 cases, the normal landing condition, normal takeoff condition, emergency stop or rejected takeoff condition, important. Length corrections, the sequence is important. Elevation correction, temperature correction, gradient correction, and taxiway exit radius is important for us. Exit radius calculation by the 2 methods. One is by comfort criteria and the second is by Haronjeff off tracking criteria. If you could able to by heart the taxiway exit radius calculation and corrections, the 3 length corrections and 3 cases of calculation of length of the runway for various conditions, more than enough airport. So very simple. You don't have helipads, you don't have capacity of airport, you don't have runway lighting, taxiway lighting, all these things are not there. Previously they were there. If you look at the previous ESE questions, you get a doubt. Previously there were lot of things in railway as well in airport in ESE. Now they have concised the syllabus. If you could able to only concentrate on geometric design, more than enough. So if you look at the previous year questions of railway engineering and the previous year questions of airport for ESE prelims, you may get confused because most of the things which are at present not there in our syllabus. Okay, be careful about this point. Next, for exam point of view, next for exam ESE prelims point of view, we have tunnels, we have harbors. There may be a chance of combination of two, there may be chance of one or two objectives. Only ESE prelims point of view. So this tunnels and harbors not there in the gate syllabus. So even there are the people who are getting the ESE jobs without even looking at these things. So don't worry much about tunnels and harbors, just glance through in case of spare time. So theory just glance through, and previous year questions you just glance through, more than enough. So expertising on tunnels and harbors, I don't think it is required for getting a good rank. But if you have spare time, just go through everything theoretical oriented tunnels and harbors. If you just go through once, you will get the confidence. So this is the brief strategy I have given to you. So what do you need to do is, you need to focus on the area on which you need to prepare. You need to timetable your preparation schedule, and as per that you need to prepare and target for the coming exam. Don't waste time and read as per the requirement. Important areas you spend more time, non-important areas you spend less time. Not at all important area, remove from your syllabus. It may be in the official syllabus, but in your syllabus you remove it. If you could able to prepare like that, as per the requirement, if you prepare like that, you can win the games. There are some people, they keep on researching on a topic. They have knowledge. They have very vast knowledge. They have very vast application skills and very intelligent people. But because of the strategy, improper strategy, they may not get the final result, good results. So, as a smart personality, what you need to do is, whatever is required, that you concentrate, read that only, and try to get maximum output among it. So, if you read entire textbooks and entire things and nook and corners, you may get complete knowledge. But our requirement is, we need to solve complete paper. So, complete knowledge is different, solving as per the requirement is different. So, we need to step ahead with a requirement. You need to solve maximum questions correctly. For that, you try to prepare it. So, I wish you all the best. In the next class, we will talk about few important questions which may come in our exam, and just discuss it. Thank you. I wish you all the best. Bye for now.